Okay, so one thing is guaranteed, and that is that at some point a pilot will have to get a medical certificate. Basically, the purpose of having a medical certificate is to ensure that a pilot meets health standards to improve safety of aviation. And so really, there are three classes of medical certificates: first class, second class, and third class. Let's start super simple. Basically, a third class medical certificate is for student pilots, private pilots, and for recreational pilots. A second class medical certificate is basically for all commercial pilots, so basically any pilot who has a commercial license who is flying for hire. And finally, a first class certificate is basically for any airline transport pilot or anyone who's flying for an airline. So those are the basics, and that's honestly all you really need to know, but it definitely can get a lot more complex. So what type of medical certificate do you need? That really just depends on what your goals are. So if you want to be an airline pilot, right at the beginning, I just go ahead and get your first class medical certificate just to make sure that you can hold it and you don't run into any issues in the future. If you just want to fly for fun, you really don't need much more than a third class medical certificate. One thing's for sure though, and that is that every student pilot should get a medical certificate before starting flight training. That is something that really could have saved me a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of heartbreak. When I began flight training, I had no idea what a medical certificate was, and I had no clue that eventually I'd need to get one. So after 11 hours of flight time, my instructor told me to go and get my medical certificate. And so I went to the doctor, I had my exam, and at the end of my exam, the doctor came in and told me that I was taking a medication that kept me from getting a medical certificate. In addition to that, I also had other health challenges that would keep me from getting that. And so because of that, I wouldn't be able to solo and I wouldn't really be able to continue with flight training. That was really heartbreaking to kind of be told that I couldn't continue with flight training. And I didn't really know how much time it would be until I would be able to qualify for a medical certificate. And so that was a really heartbreaking and expensive mistake that I made that you don't have to. So how long does a medical certificate last for? So that depends on the age of the pilot and the type of certificate that that pilot has. So for a third class medical certificate, it lasts for 60 months if someone is underneath 40 years old and only 24 months if someone is over 40. For a second class medical, it lasts 12 months for everyone who's using it as a commercial pilot. And finally, a first class medical lasts 12 months for everyone who's under 40 who's using it as an airline pilot, or it'll only last 6 months if someone is over 40 and using it as an airline pilot. So again, every class of medical is for a different type of pilot and it lasts a different length of time depending on your age and what you use that certificate for. I know getting a medical certificate can be frustrating, but honestly it's so much better if you just knock it out right before you begin flight training. Another thing about getting your medical is that not every single doctor can perform that exam. You would have to go to an AME, meaning an Airman Medical Examiner, and so you can find that on the FAA website, or if you just search up AME near me, you could probably find a doctor who could do that exam for you. So hopefully everything I shared was at least a little bit helpful, and I encourage you to go out and do your own research. And so with that, I hope everyone flies safe, enjoys life, and we'll see you guys in the next video.